Moses was a very brave leader. He had just helped all his people, the Israelites, escape from a difficult life in Egypt where they were treated unkindly. After a long walk, they crossed a big sea called the Red Sea, which God had parted for them to walk through safely. Now they were on a new adventure, traveling through a huge sandy desert. The sun was hot and the journey was long, but Moses told them to keep going. He knew God had a special plan for them and was leading them to a new home where they could live in freedom and happiness. They followed Moses every day, trusting him to guide them. After 3 long months of walking through the wide, open desert, the Israelites finally arrived at a very special place. In front of them stood a huge, tall mountain that seemed to touch the sky. This was Mount Sinai, a place known as God's mountain. It was a very important and holy place. The people set up their tents at the bottom of the mountain, making a large camp. They were tired from their journey, but they also felt excited. They knew something important was about to happen here, and they waited to hear what God wanted to tell them through their leader, Moses. God had a very loving reason for bringing his people to this mountain. He wanted to give them a special gift. This gift was a set of rules to help them live together as a big family. These rules would show them how to be kind to one another, how to be fair, and how to stay close to God, who had saved them. God knew that without good rules, people could get confused and start to argue or be unkind. He wanted his people to build a strong and happy community, where everyone felt safe and loved. These rules were not to punish them, but to guide them and help them live well. So the Israelites camped at the foot of the magnificent mountain, looking up at its towering peak with a sense of wonder and awe. They had come so far and had seen so many miracles. They had seen God's power when he parted the sea, and they trusted that he had brought them here for a very special purpose. Moses prepared to speak with God, and the people waited with hopeful hearts. They were ready to listen and learn how to be God's special people, living in a way that would make him happy and bring peace and joy to their lives together in their new land. God called out to Moses from the mountain and said, "Come up to me, for I have something to give you." So Moses told the people he was going up the mountain to meet with God. He had to go all by himself. The journey up the rocky slopes was long and difficult, but Moses was not afraid. He knew God was with him and would keep him safe. He climbed higher and higher, leaving the camp of his people far below. As he climbed, the air grew cooler, and he felt a powerful presence all around him, a sign that he was getting closer to the place where God would speak to him. As Moses got near the top, a thick, dark cloud came down and covered the entire mountain. The people watching from their camp below could no longer see the peak. Suddenly, the sky flashed with bright, powerful lightning that lit up the whole area. Deep, rumbling sounds of thunder echoed through the valley, shaking the very ground they stood on. It was a scary and amazing sight. The mountain itself seemed to be on fire, with smoke rising up like a giant furnace. This was a sign of God's great power and holiness, showing the people that this was a very serious and important moment. Moses bravely walked into the cloud, into the middle of the storm of thunder and lightning. He was not just meeting a friend, he was meeting the creator of everything. Inside the cloud, the presence of God was all around him. He stayed there on the mountain for a very long time, talking with God. He did not eat or drink for 40 days and 40 nights. During this special time, God spoke to Moses and taught him many things. He explained the wonderful rules that would help the Israelites live together in peace and show their love for God. Down below, the Israelites waited and watched. They saw the smoke and heard the thunder day after day. They knew Moses was with God, receiving instructions that would change their lives forever. They understood that these rules were coming from God himself, and it made them feel both nervous and reverent. The 40 days felt like a very long time to wait, but they knew that Moses would return with a special message. They watched the mysterious cloud-covered mountain, knowing that their leader was in the presence of God, learning the path to a better life for all of them. After 40 days and 40 nights on the mountain, God gave Moses a very special present for the people. He had written his 10 most important rules onto 2 flat pieces of stone called tablets. God wrote these rules with his own power, so they would last forever. These were the 10 Commandments, a gift to help the Israelites understand how to love God and love each other. Moses carefully took the stone tablets, ready to bring them down the mountain and share God's important words with all the people who were waiting for him below. He knew these rules would be their guide. The very first rule was the most important one. God said, "You shall have no other gods before me." This meant that the Israelites should only worship the one true God who had rescued them from Egypt and cared for them in the desert. The second rule was like the first. You shall not make for yourself an idol. This meant they should not make statues or pictures of things and then pray to them as if they were gods. God wanted them to love and worship him directly, not something made by human hands. These rules helped them focus on their special relationship with the one God. The next rules were about showing respect. God said, "You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God." This taught the people to always speak God's name with love and care, and not use it in an angry or foolish way. Then God gave them a rule about rest. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. This meant that one day each week, everyone should stop their work, rest, and think about God. This day of rest was a gift for everyone, a time to recharge and be with family. It was a very kind and thoughtful rule for a busy community. The list of rules continued with instructions on how to treat other people with kindness and respect. God told them to honor your father and your mother, which means always being good to your parents and listening to them. He also said, "You shall not murder, because every person's life is precious." Then came the rule, "You shall not commit adultery," which means husbands and wives should always be loyal and true to each other. These rules were like a fence, protecting families and keeping them strong and happy. God was showing them how to build a loving society. The final 3 commandments were just as important for helping everyone live together peacefully. God commanded, "You shall not steal." This was a simple but very important rule that taught people to respect what belongs to others and not take things that weren't theirs. The next rule was, "You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor." This means that you should never tell lies about other people, because lies can hurt feelings and cause big problems. Telling the truth was a key part of being a good friend and neighbor in the community that God wanted for them. The very last rule was about feelings inside our hearts. God said, "You shall not covet." This is a big word that means you should not be jealous of what other people have. It teaches that you should be happy with your own things and not wish you had your friend's house or their donkey or anything else that belongs to them. This rule was important because jealousy can lead to sadness, anger, and even breaking the other rules, like stealing. God wanted his people to have happy and contented hearts, free from the trouble that jealousy can cause in a community. When Moses finally came down from the smoky mountain, his face was shining with a bright light because he had been with God. He carried the 2 stone tablets with God's 10 special rules written on them. He gathered all the Israelites together and read each commandment to them one by one. He carefully explained what each rule meant and how it would help them build a wonderful new life together. The people listened to every word. They saw the power on the mountain, and they saw the light on Moses' face, and they knew these words came directly from God. After hearing all of God's rules, the Israelites made a very important promise. They all said together, "We will do everything the Lord has said. We will obey." They agreed to follow these commandments and to teach them to their children, so that everyone in their community would know how to live in peace and friendship. The 10 Commandments became the foundation of their new nation, a guide for being kind, fair, and loving. They were not just rules, but a promise of a happy life, living as God's special people in the land he had promised to them.